This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
So we're just going to call to order at 5:15. Great. We're going to roll call in. Mayor LaChapelle here. Linda Markey here. Eric Guyette is absent tonight. Ben Hersey here. Sam Hunter here. Megan Harvey is on her way. Carol Scott present. Okay. First, we're going to open the floor to public comment. If nobody is in the room with us, but if there's anybody joining virtually who's interested in offering a comment, you can go ahead and raise your virtual hand and we'll leave that open for a minute. While we're waiting for that, so what I gave all of you was the summative evaluation, which we'll go over in a couple minutes, and the last 2 pages are all the comments that were provided, and they're broken down by which section they were offered in.
Bless you, Chair.
That was why I was late. All right, we don't see anyone for public comments. We are going to close public speak for this evening. Move on to our first item agenda, which is a school committee discussion of the superintendent evaluation. I'm going to start really briefly by explaining to the public what this process looks like, and then we can kind of go around the table and get everyone's thoughts. So this is a standard form that is provided to us by DESE. This is typically something that we perform every 2 years, correct? But in this case, we are doing it after 1 year of the interim superintendent being with us. Every member, there are 6 elected members plus the mayor who sit on the school committee. Every member received an evaluation form. They are all identical. Every member completed that. They were all submitted to me. I then ran metrics and took the median value for every category to create a summative evaluation, which is what we will review tonight. And I believe all of the individual reports, as well as that summative report, and including the comments, will all be made available probably later this week. I just have to get it into a PDF and provide it to the city. Would anybody have thoughts? We want to go around, maybe share a bit of what you thought when you performed your own evaluation, because it was really funny. Everything kind of came out down the middle, but it was really funny to see the differences, like where people were really like enthusiastic about exemplary here, or other people engaged with proficient. It's just interesting to see.
Well, I mean, I would just want to make a comment on the, and maybe it's more for DESE if they listen, on the, and for past years too. I mean, the 4 categories that we have used, like so proficient is like very, very good. Right. And there's exemplary, which is like stratosphere, and there's nothing in between.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and I remember the very first time we did this, I'm trying to think of, I think Cindy, might have been Nancy Follansby and Cindy. Like it was really tough. Like we tried to like split the difference, and
it would have ended in that column had there been an in between in every category.
Yeah. So I mean, I would just want the first time if you look at this and it, you know, you see the P, it's like, oh well, there was an issue or whatnot, and that's actually not the case.
Yeah, proficient is definitely above average. It's also an extremely complicated form to understand and to fill out, and at least 2 of our members had never done it before. You had probably done it a while ago. I had done it a while ago. Yeah, so more than half of the membership had never seen this form before. Yeah, and you could tell there were some questions about, you know, are we evaluating the district or are we evaluating the superintendent? And so some of those comments were more like encouraging needs improvement, things like that. We're not there were clarifications in the comments that this is actually not a reflection of Maureen Benenda. These are concerns I have about the district at large. So I think this is a workshop evaluation, and we need to get better at this process for next year.
It's very confusing.
Yes, it is not an easy form. It's very counterintuitive. Any thoughts, Linda?
On the process or on Maureen?
Either.
I just want to say, and I did write the comment in here that says that the evaluation is from January to June, because that's the time that I've been involved in this process. And but prior to that, when I was running for a school committee, I had many comments from because I spoke to parents, I spoke to teachers, I spoke to parents. And I had many comments about the fact that she came in and would pass out papers to kids, that she would come in and walk the hallways with kids, that she would come in and she went into the diversity class, whatever it's called.
Diversity club.
Yeah. When we were in the interim between having the other person and the new person, and took that over. And I felt that that was exemplary. I felt that that was such a positive step to take in a system that has had a lot of chatter around that. And so I just wanted to let you know personally that that's something that I saw and really see value in. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. And also, I remember you saying to me specifically when you were we were discussing my grandchild and some of his situations and whatever. And you talked about how every child needs to have an advocate. And if there wasn't one for a child, you would be that one. And yeah, impressed. Yeah.
Ben, you have any thoughts?
Definitely second a lot of what you're saying.
Ben loved you. I'll show you Ben's.
They figured another. No, it was so helpful to have you come in here and then to hear the kind of universal praise in a way, from teachers, from parents, just people feeling comfortable with your presence in a way that I hadn't seen from a superintendent yet in this district. And that was really fantastic. Lots of really positive feedback, and just having lived through the tumult of last year, feeling like this district was a ship that was really in bad shape, rock. Like it took the wheel and helped kind of steady things and guide us, and helped, I think, clarify the reputation maybe of the district, or just settle things down. So I feel like when people look at Easthampton, it's nothing but that place full of maniacs. It's like
you made us less woke.
Oh my!
I wouldn't say that.
Oh wow! Yeah.
I didn't really mean that.
No, I feel really good about that. I think people can look to the district now and go, okay, this
It's a good district.
It's a good district. There's a lot to like here. There's a lot to appreciate what's going on here. And that feels good. That feels really good. And it's like the epitome, the ideal interim, like the perfect bridge, to whatever happens next. You just help calm things down, steady things, which we deeply needed. So
Thank you.
yeah, feeling good about it.
I really have enjoyed it.
Yeah, and it shows.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, and Ben said that, when you look at the forms and the cumulative forms, but also listen to these comments, I would say, again, to the public, Maureen Menendez, not perfect, but you and your skill set was exactly what the district needed and filled and checked a lot of boxes for not just the school committee, from what we heard from parents and what we heard from teachers and staff and walking the talk, and not honestly backing away from it. And there were a lot of tangles that happened, especially in the beginning, and they're ongoing. And as an interim, you could kind of check out if you wanted to and still fulfill the role. And you didn't. You stayed engaged and got more engaged. And I feel like with the superintendent search, and when we get to interviews and eventually get a permanent superintendent, that there's a good path laid out and an understanding. And also just the communication with the school committee and the availability. I feel like we're in a really good place to go forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I
well, as Ben said, I agree with pretty much everything everybody has said. I have really enjoyed working with you this year. I feel like one of the benefits to having you on our team this year has been that, you come from, you've spent a lot of your time in a really different school district. And that has actually been really helpful because I think one of the things that is challenging, especially in a small community like Easthampton, is we get kind of locked into like the way that things have always been done here or the way that things have been done in neighboring communities, and to just kind of like hear about, the different ways that you might approach a problem if this was like a gigantic district with 55 schools versus Easthampton. It's been really good. I really appreciate how much you've been in the school buildings, and I think a lot of other folks appreciate that too. I think that's been something that that has really been good, especially post-COVID for our community, and to have somebody there kind of actually, being able to sort of see what's going on firsthand and be a part of that. So I appreciate working with you. I think it's been great. So I'm looking forward to another year.
Yeah.
But be careful on St. Martin.
My apologies for coming in late. I was also late. I'm just appointment for the little guy. So I'm not sure. I'm sure I echo what everyone has said, but since I didn't hear it, I'll just try to be quick and say that I so appreciate working with you. I think you've done a fabulous job. I think you were just what we needed. I think whatever universe, whatever system you want, world you want to pray to, whatever it is that you were, it was the right time and it worked out for you to come to us. I think we just really needed it. And it's not been a perfect year. We have more stuff to do. And I feel like you're the person for the job. So I feel confident that we can keep making progress.
I think we're on really solid ground for another personnel, to take over in a year and come perhaps in the spring of the year too and shadow a bit and then be ready to take over.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's going to be so important for us to have that transition. I think superintendent that comes. So.
And I want to jump on that real quick. I think we were so lucky to be able to have a year without doing a hasty superintendent search, to just kind of like take a year to figure out like who we are as a school committee, but also just get a better idea of who we are as a district. And I think having you there, bringing a different kind of perspective was really helpful for understanding that. Sorry.
Don't apologize. Shut my phone off. Trying to make sure this ringer is all the way down. So I would make a couple
first.
No,
Mr. Comments.
What? I have to
go first. Mr.
Yes.
Sorry, Mr. Comments. I'm sure they're really good.
I wrote some stuff.
Sorry, Chair. It's quite all right.
Yeah.
More go, Linda. Do you have more?
Oh, no, really, after hearing everyone, it was just, I think everyone said exactly what we are. And I like the fact that it's very real, that we're being very real in our comments and very sincere in our comments. And I do think that we really benefit from your experience. I think, and then again, having that year. And I think that that's a huge, huge benefit that you have experience in different areas, plus you have experience from the fact of doing it for a while. And that's just really invaluable.
Thank you.
Yeah, it feels like there's nothing you could spring on you, like you would know all.
There have been a lot of
Knock on wood. Immediately.
Yes.
Careful, Ben.
I would say a couple of things. I would rewind back to the process when we were interviewing for an interim. And I've been in a lot of management positions, and I think hiring and interviewing is one of the most challenging parts. A good interview doesn't necessarily make a good candidate. A poor interview doesn't necessarily make a poor candidate. And when we were looking at the resumes before the interviews, I viewed your experience in that larger district of Worcester as being a potential drawback. And then when you came in my view, it was just head and shoulders above the competition. And I went with my gut and voicing my support for you because I just felt like personality wise and priority wise, it felt like this perfect fit. So what I want to say is my two highest compliments of Marina would be this. First is her perspective of a larger picture, which I assume comes from your experience in a much, much larger district. Doesn't sweat the small stuff, can put things into perspective, can stay cool and calm and collected. that's not a huge surprise given where you've come from. What was a shock and exactly what we needed and just this perfect fit for us was your ability to instantly create these really authentic personal connections, starting with, you know, your cohorts in central office, down to the leadership team, admins, teacher, faculty, and staff, families, and parents. I want to say a brief aside. We certainly have a cohort of parents who are struggling with some issues that we take seriously that we have not solved yet. I think all of us have theories on the genesis of those issues. I think they predated your time here, and I think they will probably exist after you leave. We hope to make continued progress there. But on the whole, that tangible improvement in the morale, people's desire to get up and come to the district, to speak positively about the district, to work, I think was critical given what we were coming off of. And I feel bad for the next person. I have concerns that we might find a fantastic candidate, but there's this tiny little piece of people that's going to feel a little let down. But so we'll see how it's an incredibly high bar. So appreciative. And I want to reiterate what Nicole says. There are 4 categories when we look at the overall summation of this. And it's like unsatisfactory, needs improvement, proficient, and exemplary. And honestly, the average of everything would have been, it was touching exemplary in every category. It just, you know, we didn't have that. That wasn't an option. So that will all be made available, hopefully by week's end. Anybody else have any other comments on the evaluation or about Marina in her position?
Quick question.
Yeah.
So does this whole document get made public for people to who are viewing?
We're going to put it on the website. Okay. We're going to do, here's what I hope to do. What will absolutely be public almost immediately will be the summative evaluation, which is that amalgamation of all of us and all of the comments that were contributed. What I also would like to include would be the individuals. I just have a couple questions for our legal advisor just to make sure that I assume that's fine. But before I make that public, yeah. So that's my intent, is to put the whole thing forward and then have everybody imagine in their mind's eye me with all the printouts on my bed and check marks on sheets of paper because I can't work in an Excel spreadsheet. We got there. Great. Yeah. If there's no other comment about that, we can move on. Our next meeting dates is later this evening. The way this will work, we have a regular session that we're sitting in right now. We're about to briefly adjourn into an executive session. We will then be coming back quickly to the regular session to vote on that item we discussed in executive session. We'll then adjourn that meeting. We will move upstairs at roughly 6 p.m. for a scheduled work session, which is also available to the public if they'd like to join us in the second floor rear conference room. After that, we have another work session scheduled for July 23rd, and then 2 regular session meetings on August 13th and September 10th. So with that, I would entertain a motion to move into executive session.
Second. Oh, wait, sorry.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Sam. So we're going to roll call out. Sam Hunter?
Here.
Mayor? Here. Ben?
Here.
Linda?
Here.
Megan? Here. Laura Scott? Aye. Okay. So we are going to mute and shut the camera on. We turn it back on as soon as we complete executive session. Where is the mouse? There, am I doing?
Give me a move.
No, you're fine there. She moves back.
And we're in. Okay.
Welcome back, everyone. That was a quick executive session meeting. We discussed the renewal. So we did just recently receive a DESE waiver for interim superintendent Benetta to remain for an additional year through June 30 of 2025. And so in light of that, her contract expired on June 30th, 2024. So we just met and discussed briefly the renewal of that contract. And we agreed and by unanimous vote approved the contract to move forward with a 2% COLA increase and a 2% increase to the superintendent's travel stipend. She is traveling daily from Worcester County. With that, I would take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstention? Great. Meeting adjourned, and we'll be beginning at 6 p.m. upstairs in the rear conference room. If you're planning to join us from the public, walk carefully because there is a very large ZBA meeting in council chambers.
Thank you.
Good night.